Why do intelligent people sometimes believe ideas that later destroy their own future? It's not just individuals, it's entire societies. And I think we can see it happening at the moment. Movements that promised justice but created suffering. Movements that promised unity but produced division. Oh, this is ringing a bell. Welcome to the Mindset Channel, where ancient wisdom meets the modern mindset.
Oh, this is going to be a spicy one today, guys.
It's going to be very spicy.
Today we explore a question that matters more than most people realize. How does the human mind fall into extreme ideologies? Because it rarely begins with hatred, right? It begins with something far more ordinary, confusion.
People feel something in the world isn't working. Their job, their community, their future. So they start looking for answers because surely life can't be this random or unkind. Now, Crom, why does that search sometimes lead people into dangerous ideas?
Because belief is rarely about facts, right? Belief becomes identity. Yeah, you hear it from people. I think, I think this. Oh, I believe this. Even the accentuation of that, the way they say that, is like, I am this, right? You can hear it from people because belief becomes the identity. When people adopt an ideology, they are not just agreeing with an argument. They are joining a tribe and a story about who they are. But, tell me, Jono, why does the human mind need tribes so much?
Well, mate, for most of human history, tribes meant survival. Surviving on your own is kind of a new thing. Psychologists call this conformity bias. It means people tend to follow the group. Belonging feels safe, standing alone feels dangerous. And that instinct is still inside us today. And if you look at this whole MAGA thing, for example, going on in the States, it's based on fear. It's based on anxiety.
History gives us a powerful example. So the modern version is that MAGA movement in the US, right? In ancient Athens, Socrates encouraged people to question their beliefs. The crowd didn't like it. They felt threatened. So they believed that, he was trying to corrupt their society. So they sentenced him to death.
And I think back in those days, when they sentenced you to death, basically they gave you some hemlock, but you had to drink it. So it wasn't them. They basically sort of said you had to kill yourself.
Yeah.
All right. Anyhow, which shows something fascinating about the human mind. When a group agrees on something, it begins to feel unquestionably true.
Yeah.
Even if the belief is utterly wrong. That raises another question. Why do crowds also follow strong leaders so easily?
Because of uncertainty. Yeah? Because uncertainty creates fear. Yeah? And confident leaders promise certainty. Even though when it's bullshit.
Yeah.
During the collapse of the Roman Republic, citizens feared chaos. Powerful generals promised order, right? During when the French Revolution happened, the reign of terror, right? Napoleon rose up from that, not because he was the best guy. He was actually a soldier during that revolution, right? But from chaos, all you need is an organized leader that promises order, and people will follow them.
Psychologists call that authority bias. When someone sounds confident, we assume they must know what they're doing, even when the evidence is thin or to the contrary.
Yeah.
Now, experiments show people obey authority figures even when it feels wrong. Now, why does the mind prefer certainty over truth?
Because certainty feels comfortable. Reality is complex, really complex, right? But ideologies offer simple stories, right? Good people versus bad people. Heroes versus the bad guy.
Yeah, and that's really easy to understand, right? Even at the base level. So psychologists call this the need for cognitive closure. The brain dislikes uncertainty. It wants a clear answer quickly, even if the answer's incomplete. And can you think of a historical example where fear created a simple story?
Ah, man, there's so many.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. The Black Death in the 1300s.
Yeah.
All right. Europeans back then did not understand disease. So fear spread faster than the plague itself. Yeah. So there was a rumor that spread in certain communities had poisoned the wells. So innocent people were attacked and killed. I'll give another scenario, right? There was a rumor that cats were spreading the plague, right? So they started killing cats. And the cats were the ones eating the mice that contained the plague fleas and ticks that spread them.
Yeah.
So they killed the only line of defense they had.
Yeah.
For the plague, right?
Right. Which shows how dangerous simple explanations can be. But once someone adopts a belief, something else happens. Their brain begins protecting it. Psychologists call this confirmation bias. Now, Crom, what do you think that looks like in real life?
It means people search for evidence that proves them right.
Right.
Right? Think about social media. Think about YouTube. Yeah? YouTube would even say that it will serve you relevant videos that you like. So every time you press something like or respond to something on social media, you will get more of that.
Which is fine if you're looking at videos of cats or music you like or something like that. Right? But when it comes to something about your beliefs or something political or something more impactful on society, different story.
And remember, we're also trained this way at school, right?
Yeah.
We were asked, maybe HSC level, right? And especially university level, higher learning, where we have to find evidence to back up our claims, right? That's how we were taught. Okay, find evidence to back up your claim. You can't just claim anything, right? And because of that, we are now looking for ways to back up our claim, even if it's wrong. And they ignore evidence that challenges the idea. So two people read the same news story, right? Yet walk away with opposing conclusions because each mind filters the information.
Exactly. The brain becomes a lawyer defending the belief, not a scientist searching for truth, and that leads to another trap. Why is it so hard for people to admit that they might be wrong?
Personally, I like being wrong.
I love being proved wrong.
I love being proved wrong. I only got this maybe 3 years ago. Yeah. But I'm in my 50s. So the first 47 years of my life, I didn't like being wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like being wrong because I now know I got corrected, and I won't spend the rest of my life being wrong because I got corrected, right? But most people don't feel like that because pride protects the belief. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance. Yeah? Imagine walking 1,000 miles down the wrong road. Yeah? Turning around means admitting the mistake. And so many people keep walking. Have you met people that have been doing the same job for a very long time and they hate it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that is a classic case of cognitive dissonance. Because,
Absolutely it is.
yeah,
And then the deeper investment, the harder the turn.
yeah.
People invest time, reputation, friendships, identity. Changing the belief now feels like losing themselves, right?
Mm.
Which leads to another bias. Why do people often believe they understand complex systems? And this is one of the problems. People try to understand complex systems and then give it a simple explanation. Some things are complex.
Yes. I remember my, um, no, I wouldn't name her. I know someone, right, that told me how the physiology of cells work, right? And she was literally reciting what YouTube was saying.
Yeah.
How do I know that? Because I took one of her terms and I YouTubed it. Rather than Google it, I YouTubed it. Yeah? And I found all these influencers saying the same shit.
Yeah.
So, and then I asked her, it's like, her claim was, your body can produce all the medicines your body will ever need. So it doesn't need medicine. And I went, no, it can't.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
That
goodness.
is a dangerous,
Oh my
dangerous idea.
Yeah.
Right? Because what if someone's really, really, really sick now and it needs medical help? Yeah? What's the solution? Oh, just stay there and your body will beat it eventually. Right? I think I was telling you this. I was telling you this story. I think I got it from Neil deGrasse, the astrophysicist, and I love his point. From caveman days until the 1800s, 50% of the human population does not pass the age of 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it improved. So have a guess. What age did it reach in 1840?
I know.
35.
Oh, okay.
So not much.
Yeah.
Not much, right? And I love this point of view. In 1850 or 1840, up to the caveman days, the air was clean, right?
Mm.
All the food they ate was organic, right? So if the solution was, oh, just naturally sit this out, just get some fresh air and sunlight, and your body will create the medicine to help you feel better. Well,
They would have lived longer.
They would have lived longer. And guess when did the life expectancy went up to 50 and 60?
When's that?
After we discovered vaccines, paracetamol, and antibiotics.
Antibiotics. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
In fact, that's one of the reasons the Allies won World War II. Because the Germans didn't have this technology, these medicines. So the Allies was recovering faster.
Well, if you're in a war before antibiotics, right, and you got wounded, you had a 50-50 chance.
That's it.
50-50 at best.
Yeah. And
Anyway, go ahead.
And people were more fearful of the fever, and I'm putting my air inverted commas there, rather than, let's say, breaking a leg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today, it's like we're far more afraid of breaking a leg than
Yeah.
getting a fever because we will recover from the fever.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. There's really complex systems here. And
Yeah.
they're complex for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? And this is the thing. Because confidence often hides ignorance. All you need to do is talk louder. That will come across as confident. Even though I think the most confident people are the ones that don't speak too much. Right? Ancient philosophers warned us about this. Long ago, Socrates said the beginning of wisdom is recognizing how little we know. Yet human pride resists that idea. What do psychologists call this pattern, Jono?
It's actually called the illusion of explanatory depth.
Holy moly. Okay, what's that?
Okay. It means people think they understand complex systems better than they actually do. You know, politics, economics, social systems, you know, when asked to explain step by step, the gaps appear. But slogans hide those gaps. And you often hear when you speak to someone about a complex political issue that they're not getting, but they've got their own stance, and they go, common sense, mate. All right.
That is such
Which
a
is one of those
brush off.
non-intellectual shut.
Yeah, exactly. Just
shutdowns.
Yeah, correct.
But slogans hide those gaps.
That's it. Remember Abbott? Stop the boats. That was his slogan. He didn't say anything about that. How to do it, right? Anyway, let's try and not be as political today as possible.
I'm willing to kick off. Given where we're currently at, I'm willing to kick off. Okay,
yeah, man. And I'm a marketer, right? So that's what I do for a living. And I've created a lot of taglines and slogans in my life. And slogans and taglines are powerful because repetition shapes belief. Throughout history, rulers have repeated simple messages again and again and again. Eventually, the message begins to feel true. It becomes real, right? If you don't believe me, Make America Great Again became MAGA. And then you got the MAGA cult happening and people even wearing the uniform, the MAGA hat, the MAGA shirt, and then going crazy in this way. Anyway, Jono, what do psychologists call that?
Excuse me, I'm busy, Steve. Sorry.
All right, 3, 2, 1, and Jono, what do psychologists call that?
I think that's availability bias. You know, the more often we hear something, the more familiar it feels. And familiarity often feels like truth. But there's one more powerful trap. What happens when beliefs become identity?
Wow. I think a lot of wars were fought in identity, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, us against them, Christians against Jews, Jews against Muslims, allies versus axis, black versus white. That's identity, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Disagreement feels like an attack on the self. Psychologists call this identity protective thinking. Yeah? Changing the belief now feels like losing who you are. History shows us many wars began this way. Ideas became identity.
It's exactly right. And once identity enters the picture, emotion takes over. There's anger, there's fear, there's moral superiority. Every ideology believes it is on the side of good. And why is that so powerful?
Because it allows people to feel righteous. They believe they are saving the world, which makes extreme actions feel justified. I was writing a blog about temptation. Yeah? Like, what is temptation? Right? So I wrote this massive blog about it. I went through what are the 3 temptations that we normally get. And I realized whilst writing that article that all temptations are reasonable, right? As in, yeah, all temptations, all, as in every single temptation that has ever occurred in your mind and heart is reasonable, right? And throughout history, many movements believed they were defending the truth. They were reasoning with their emotions, right? But righteousness without humility becomes dangerous.
It absolutely does. So here's the uncomfortable truth. Every group believes the other side is brainwashed.
That's so true. I think, can I add on to this?
How can these people possibly think that
Exactly.
Universal health care and access to food is a good thing? They're brainwashed. Anyway, don't start me.
Oh, man. Anyway. That's the thing. We underestimate our own stupidity.
Yeah.
And we overestimate our intelligence.
It's very common, and very few people ask the harder questions. So what if my own thinking has blind spots? So listen, right, how do we, excuse me, how do we protect ourselves from falling into these traps?
Firstly, cultivate humility. Yeah? The wisest thinkers throughout history knew how much they did not know. Humility keeps the mind flexible. Fanaticism grows in the soil of certainty because you're certain, right? But humility invites learning. Do you want to hear a bit of a trivia, mate?
Yeah, go on.
All right, so civilization, 10,000 years, isn't it? Yeah, give and take?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much...
yeah, give or take, yeah.
Give and take, right?
Well, it depends on your definition of civilization.
Oh, that's when we develop farming and we can actually handle each other without killing each other.
Yeah. Well...
But the start of, rather than...
Need I mention the current state of the world?
So civilization, as civil as we can, pretty much 10,000 years, right? Did you know the virtue of humility, of which we're talking about now, started with Christ?
Yeah, I'm sure.
That didn't exist before, right? If you look at the Romans, the Greeks, for example, right? They did not really talk about humility, be humble. Yeah? They talked about glory. They talked about status as the virtue of society. That's why when Christianity came into Rome, it's like, what the hell are you guys doing? Why do I need to be humble? Right? So maybe humility is not as ingrained in our DNA, in our nervous system. But guess what? It's been around now for 2,000 years, and hopefully the humans of the next 1,000 years will have this ingrained in them. Because humility invites learning.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. Look, secondly, expand your information environment. Listen to people who disagree with you. I have some of my closest friends and I have massive disagreements, but we can keep that separate to our friendship. Don't attack them, but to understand them. Curiosity weakens ideological thinking.
I like that. Curiosity weakens ideological thinking. Thirdly, this is how you deal with this. Separate identity from belief. That's freaking hard, man. That is so hard, right? You are not your ideology. I'll give you an example. Hey, Jono, can you separate yourself from being Australian?
No.
Very hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's part of who I am, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It's very hard for me to un-Australian myself. Very difficult, right? Beliefs should be tools that help you understand reality. Tools can evolve. And if you don't believe me, just look at the Flint tools and the MacBook Pro that is in the shop right now. Massive difference. They evolve. Chains cannot. Chains cannot.
Right, right. And the fourth thing here is focus on building things that improve real life.
Yes, amen.
Right? Strong families, strong communities, local organizations helping real people. Because positive action breaks ideological addiction.
Wow. Ideological addiction. I think that's a thing nowadays, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is.
Has it always been around? I don't know.
Yeah.
To be an addiction?
I think so in varying degrees. Yeah.
I suppose there always been the capitalist, the socialist. There's an ist, you know, or even the War of the Roses in the medieval England, right?
Yeah.
Is that medieval? Maybe Renaissance. I don't
No,
know.
that's a bit after medieval.
Just
think.
after
Yeah.
medieval, yeah.
Yeah.
And remember what's something important. Throughout history, the greatest danger has not been about disagreement. The greatest danger is the belief that you already have all the answers. A mind that stops questioning stops growing. Really, it does. And now, Jono, leave our listeners with something they can carry forward with them today.
All right. So let me leave you with something important. Most people who fall into destructive ideologies never realize it's happening. It doesn't begin with hatred. It begins with something much more human, frustration, confusion, just a sheer lack of knowledge. A feeling that the world isn't working the way it should, or perhaps the way you feel you deserve. When people feel that way, they start looking for answers. They want clarity. They want direction. They want someone to explain why things feel unfair. Now, here's the challenge. The world is really complicated. Real solutions are slow. They require cooperation with people we disagree with. But extreme ideologies offer something easier. They offer certainty. They offer simple answers. They offer someone to blame. They offer someone to blame. And when people feel tired or angry, those answers can feel incredibly appealing. But the strongest minds are not the ones who cling to certainty. They're the ones who remain curious. They're the ones who can say, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's more to this story. Maybe I should listen before I judge. Because the moment you believe you have all the answers, that's the moment learning stops. And when learning stops, growth stops. And when growth stops, societies begin to fracture. So here's a simple mindset principle. Treat your beliefs the same way a scientist treats theory. Useful, but always open to revision. Your beliefs should help you build a better life. They should strengthen your relationships. They should help you contribute positively to your community. If a belief makes you more angry or more isolated, more hostile towards people around you, then it's worth asking a very honest question. Is this belief helping me or is it controlling me? Because mindset mastery is not about joining the loudest tribe. Can I say that again? Mindset mastery is not about joining the loudest tribe. It's about becoming the kind of person who can think clearly when others can't. The kind of person who looks for solutions instead of enemies. The kind of person who strengthens their family, their community, and the people around them. Now, that is real influence. Not shouting louder than everyone else, but thinking deeper, acting wiser, and building things that make life better. So as you leave this conversation today, ask yourself one simple question. Not, what side am I on? That's not it. But what kind of thinker do I want to become? Because the future does not belong to the loudest voices. It belongs to the clearest minds and the strongest minds. And the ones that stay open, stay curious, and keep growing. And that is where real change begins.
Wow. If you found this video interesting and useful, perhaps you can share this video to somebody who needs it the most. Once again, my name is Crom.
And my name's Jono.
Thank you for joining us here at the Mindset channel. Click the notification bell so next time we have a new video, you will not miss out. And for now, thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you next week, guys. Thanks very much for coming along. Bye-bye.